Hey, what's up guys? Welcome to my Choose Your Legends banner review video. In this video, I'm going to give you guys my opinion on each of these heroes and also explain how their skills work. At the very end is when I'll tell you guys who I think is the best unit to use your free summon on, and to those guys that are curious on who I picked on my free to play account, you'll find out at the very end of the video as well. Timestamps are going to be in the description in case you want to skip to a certain segment. And yeah, without further ado, let's get started with the review.
Your feelings give me strength.
Let's cover Celica first. She's an infantry sword unit, and stat wise she's most similar to Mila and Ira. All three of them are extremely fast with speed numbers in the high 30s to the low 40s. Physical and magical bulkiness is about the same. Ira is slightly bulkier on the physical side of things. She has 72 total physical bulk versus Mia's 64 and Celica's 65. In terms of offensive power, it's about the same as well. You really have to take a look at their unique skills to determine who is the better offensive unit. I can tell you for sure that Mia is the worst out of the three because unlike Ira and Celica, Mia doesn't have a unique weapon with a built-in heavy blade or flashing blade like effect. She will have to run those skills in the 8 or steel slot, and plus she also has the least amount of unique skills. So it comes down to Ira versus Celica, and Ira seems like she's still the better general duelist because she has Recno Astra. She's also the better mixed phase unit because of her slightly higher bulk. However, Celica does have her own strengths, and it revolves around her B skill, Double Line, which I'll talk about more a little bit later. Celica's unique weapon is Royal Sword. It grants 3 speed passively, and the rest of the effect is basically like a heavy blade or flashing blade effect without the stat comparison part of it. Instead of comparing stats to determine whether or not the effect activates, she just has to be within 2 spaces of an ally. It's a really easy requirement to meet, and it's a weapon that I would say is future proof. What I mean by that is that this weapon is always going to be good on her no matter what. A very small issue with Heavy Blade and Flashing Blade is the fact that when new units are released and has insane amounts of attack or speed, you guys start relying more on buffs and debuffs to be able to activate them on your Gen 1 units. With Royal Sword, Celica doesn't have to worry about that since the effect is granted through good positioning. Overall, I'd say it's a decent weapon even though the effect is quite boring. It has the kind of effect that you always would like to see on your hyper offensive player phase units. Special is Gale Force. It's a solid special on her. She doesn't necessarily need to rely on damage specials in order to 1-round KO as long as she's only targeting foes that she's meant to be used against. It works pretty well with her double line skill with Quicken Pulse, Osteus Pulse, or Infantry Pulse. With one of those pulse skills, she can activate Gale Force after 1 round of combat. A skill, I guess we can call it new, it's Death Blow 4. It's the upgrade version of Death Blow 3. This skill is inheritable, and I'm not sure if this means that we'll be able to start upgrading skills in the near future. I think that would be a pretty cool mechanic, but for now, it's only obtainable from summoning Celica. I believe this is a 300 SP costing skill, so it scores the same as Distant Counter, so that's really nice. It's going to be very useful for skill inheritance solely because of that reason. You Reinhardt, Lelina, and Howling Jacob lovers out there will really appreciate this skill. It's actually the perfect A skill for Celica as well because of her B slot skill Double Line. Double Line grants her the ability to attack twice immediately just like Brave Weapons as long as her health is at 100% before the start of combat. Then after combat she takes 1 damage. Now this skill is what makes Celica unique. Some of you guys are probably like, no, it's not unique because has Double Line on his Refined Falchion. Here's the thing though. Celica's Double Line is in her B slot skill and not her weapon, so this means that she has the freedom to mess around with different types of weapons. For example, if you give her Armor Smasher, then she basically has a Brave anti-armor weapon and you can turn her into an armor slaying machine. If you give her a Fire Sweep Sword and she outspeeds the enemy, then she'll be able to attack 4 times in a row with it. If she's attacking 4 times and is equipped with a special charge plus 1 type of skill, then she can proc Moonbow or Glimmer 2 times or even Aether in a single round of combat. As new swords are released into the game, I feel that Celica becomes even better. There is one small issue of Double Lion, and it's the fact that it blocks Celica from running Renewal, so she'll have to find some other way to restore her health back to 100%. Has the luxury to have Renewal built into his Falchion, so that frees up his B slot. Oh, by the way, for the guys that say Celica is just a better that's not entirely true because Falchion is the only sword in the game that's effective against dragons. However, in general, I guess you can say Celica is better though. C skill is Attack Tactic. It's kind of wonky that she has this by default since she would appreciate the buff from Attack Tactic, but regardless, it's amazing for mixed emblem teams. Alright, so Celica is a very strong player phase unit. She may not hit very hard due to her average 33 base attack, but with the combined effects of her Royal Sword and Double Line, she is extremely effective on the player phase. With the right supporting cast around her, she can easily quad attack almost anybody and activate specials left and right. While her playstyle is quite static since it's focused on player phase 1 round KOing, she does have a lot of options there. Double Line works with many types of weapons and you'll certainly have a fun time building around that skill. In terms of arena scoring, she's great for that as well. She's in the same BST bin as Ira, has the same amount of unique skills as her, and comes out of the box with a 300 SP A skill that complements the rest of her skills fairly well. There's not much not to like about Celica except for the fact that she's unable to self-heal, but that's something that can be easily fixed by building a cohesive team. She's definitely a contender for one of the top infantry sword units in this game. As for important boons and banes to look out for, I would definitely look for a plus attack or plus speed Celica. More attack equals more damage, so that obviously works well with Double Line. More speed allows her to double, thus allowing her to quad more enemies. Best bane for her is for sure minus resistance. Both HP and defense are super banes.
Pierce the sky, Maltet!
Up next is Hector. This is our 4th Hector, and surprisingly he's not an axe unit. Instead he's a lance unit, but he's still armored. Anyways, just like his other variants, he has a monster stat line. If you take away his skills and just focus on his stats, that alone makes him a contender for one of the best units in the game. I mean, just take a look at his stats. HP is almost hitting 50, both attack and defense almost 40, and resistance is almost 30. He's incredibly tanky and at the same time really strong. The 3 units that he's somewhat similar to are Effie, Gwendolyn, and Harden, but clearly Hector has a better stat line than those 3. Take Gwendolyn's bulk and combine it with Effie's strength and the final result is Hector. His stat line is just useful all around and makes him one of the most versatile armored units. His unique weapon accelerates special trigger and grants him a guaranteed follow-up attack on enemy phase as long as his health is 50% or above. It's basically a 16 might slaying lance with quick riposte 5. When you have an armor unit with quick riposte built into his weapon, you already know that it's going to be a great weapon because Bolt Fighter exists. A quick riposte weapon with Bolt Fighter means that Hector gets guaranteed doubles on both phases. This weapon also frees up the seal slot since he doesn't have to run quick riposte seal, so you can make him tankier with close defense or distant defense seal. If you want to increase his mobility and use him on a mixed emblem team, then armor boost is a good option. Also, since arena is all about giving kills to your bonus units nowadays, having the seal slot open to be filled with a supportive seal is very valuable. Nothing else to really say about this weapon. It's a simple effect, yet extremely powerful. Special is Ignis. Its cooldown is lowered to 3 charge, so when Hector gets attacked on enemy phase, he'll be able to activate it on his second counterattack. Since he already has Bolt Fighter in his B slot, he'll be able to activate Ignis on his second attack during the player phase as well. Ignis gives him about 31 extra damage, and combine that with his already high base attack, not a lot of foes will be able to survive. It's probably his best damage special if you want to get a defensive win with Hector. I actually think Aether is better for player controlled matches because whoever you attack or bait with Hector, as long as he's not in a disadvantageous matchup, the foe will most likely die from 2 normal attacks. That leaves his Aether at 0 cooldown, so on the following turn you can use Aether to heal his health back up. However, if you want him to have the ability to blow up red units, including the tanky ones, then Ignis is the way to go. His A skill is Ostian Counter. It's unique to him, therefore is non-inheritable. It's basically just Distant Counter and Sturdy Stance 2 combined into one. It still costs 300 SP just like Distant Counter, so no arena score changes there. This skill makes him incredibly difficult to take down. The extra 4 attacks and defense makes him a bigger threat on enemy phase. But here's the thing, you can't let him initiate on your units either because he has Bolt Fighter. Assuming plus 10 Brave Hectors will run rampant in arena, I think this is a good time to start investing in either a very tanky green unit that can survive Hector's attacks or an axe unit with a slaying hammer because that's what you're going to need in order to take down Hectors easily. Bolt Fighter is his B skill. I don't think I have to talk too much about this skill because I've mentioned it so many times already. No reason to swap this skill out either because it's hands down one of the most broken skills in the game and it synergizes well with the rest of his skills. C skill is new, it's even res wave 3. On even numbered turns, Hector gains 6 res and so do all adjacent allies. If we consider the fact that the arena meta is filled with armored and dragon units, this skill is actually pretty good on Hector. He already has insane amounts of defense, so balancing his bulk to withstand magical based attacks from dragons is perfect. Give him a close defense seal along with it and he's hitting 45 defense and 40 resistance on enemy phase. Hector is for sure hands down the best choose your legends hero out of the 4 if we take everything into consideration. He's amazing for high tier arena, great for clearing PvE content, and if you don't need him, well, he's an incredible unit for skill fodder as well. I think he's the best lance unit in the game right now, slightly above Harden. Armored units are generally very expensive to build, so one of the best parts about him is his default kit. Everything is near perfect, all you have to do is give him an assist skill and a seal, then he's good to go. He's a great pickup for any new player that wants to start building an Armored Emblem team. Best boon for him is attack or defense. A defense boon is his best boon if you're trying to score higher in arena. Hector has 174 BST, so with the defense super boon, it increases his BST to 175, bumping him into the next bin. Best Bane is obviously speed, that's his most disposable stat. He's already getting doubled by everything at 22 speed, so lowering it even more won't hurt his combat performance.
Are you prepared?
Next, coming from Sacred Stones is Ephraim. I was definitely not expecting him to be an axe armor unit. I actually couldn't even imagine him wielding anything other than a lance, but this is fine I guess. Although it is a shame that he's a green armored unit because that category is filled with some of Fire Emblem Heroes' strongest units like Malgrima, Amelia, Winter Lissa, Winter Crom, and 3 versions of Hector. He does have pretty good stats though. His stat spread is what you would expect from an armor unit nowadays, very much like Brave Hector's. High attack, high defense, average resistance, actually higher speed for an armor unit but still pretty low and decent HP. His stat point distribution isn't as refined as Legendary Hector's or Winter Crom's, but is still exceptional nonetheless. He wields the legendary axe Garm. It grants 3 attack passively, which pushes his base attack to 41. Garm guarantees follow-up attacks on both phases as long as Ephraim is granted some sort of display buff, whether it's from hones, fortifies, rallies, tactics, waves, or stat boosting dance skills. The movement buffs from Armor March and Armor Boots count as well. I want to discuss this weapon together with his new B skill, so let's cover that first. His B skill is Special Fighter 3. It is inheritable, and if the unit has 50% or more health at the start of combat, grants Special Charge +1 to unit and Special Charge -1 on foe per attack. When you combine both Garm and Special Fighter together, you basically get the effects from Bold Fighter, Vengeful Fighter, and Guard. Just imagine this. Imagine all those Hectors with arm mods and Bold Fighter that you usually see running around in arena and slap the Guard effect into his kit. That's what you get from this combo. This combo makes Ephraim a devastating foe to go up against in both player phase and enemy phase. Anyone who fights Ephraim will almost always be in a disadvantage since he gains his special charges faster while slowing down his foes. Using special activation is one of the common ways to take out armor units, but not against Special Fighter. Like I said during Hector's review segment, this is a really good time to start investing into heroes that can withstand huge amounts of damage or heroes that are efficient with armor slaying weapons. But hold on, there are some ways to overcome this combo. Panic Play is one way to counter Garm, but only if Ephraim is granted a stat boosting display buff. He'll still get his guaranteed doubles if he's granted a movement buff from Armor March or Armor Boots, since those cannot be panicked. Because Panic Ploy works, the Panic Staff also works. But who the heck uses Panic Staff? Oh yeah, since we're on the topic of staves, if Ephraim has the movement buff from Armor March or Armor Boots and you use Gravity on him, he'll still get his guaranteed doubles, but at least with Gravity, you can keep him away from your team. The other way to counter Garm is by using Dull Close. Dull Close neutralizes bonuses, therefore it cancels his doubles, and since Dull Close works, that means the weapons that have the same effect should also work. These weapons include in effect Refined Armor Smasher, Slaying Hammer, Slaying Spear, and Divine Naga. So yeah, Garm and Special Fighter seems pretty broken at first sight, but it's not the end of the world. There are simpler counters to it, like Alphonse with a Triangle Adept Refined Volkvanger, or you could even just take out Ephraim's teammates first if you're in a situation to be able to do so. But enough about Garm and Special Fighter, let's move on and finish the rest of his skills. Special is Draconic Aura. Special Fighter grants Ephraim a special cooldown every time he attacks and gets attacked, so he wants a 4-charge special. Dragon Fang or Ignis will work. Aether is also a decent choice, but he won't be able to activate it in a single round of combat on the player phase. A skill is Close Defense. It doesn't help him at all for player phase, but it does give him more bulk on enemy phase to withstand attacks from other armor units and Dragonstone units. If you have Distant Counter Fodder, I would give it to Ephraim because that's going to be his best A slot skill. C skill is Armor March. It's extremely useful on Armor Emblem teams, and Armor March is an easy way to activate Garm's effect. Definitely don't sleep on Ephraim. It seems like he's the least popular one out of the 4, but he's actually incredibly powerful. He's fantastic for every game mode, including Arena. I think he's strong enough to be one of those units that changes the metagame, sort of like how Reinhardt and Brave Lynn did it back in the day. Everyone was required to have a unit on the team specifically to counter those 2 units. Ephraim is kind of like that, but to a lesser degree. He's not as dangerous because he can't cover the amount of distance as those 2 Cavaliers. On the flip side though, Ephraim could also not be as dangerous as I anticipate him to be under the AI's control. He does require some form of display buff to work, and the AI isn't the best when it comes down to keeping units together, but that'll vary from team to team depending on how the team is set up. However, in the player's hand, there's no question that he's a dominant force to be reckoned with. Just like all the other Brave heroes, he comes out of the box with a near perfect base kit. There are some tweaks you can do here and there, like in the special and A slot, but for a default kit, it's pretty good. The main con I have for him is slot competition, because there's a plentiful amount of strong green armored units available in the game, and some are even considered the best units in Fire Emblem Heroes. For boons, I think attack, defense, or resistance are solid. He has 174 BST, and in order to get into the next bin, he needs a super boon. Resistance is his only super boon, therefore is the best boon for maximizing arena points. The best banes are wonky. If you care about maximizing arena points, then plus resistance minus HP are the best IVs for that. Otherwise, minus speed is his best bane despite the fact that it's a super bane.
You will be mine.
Last hero is Veronica. She's our 6th troubadour, and she's a pretty good one. Let's head straight into comparisons with Maribel and Elise. As you can see, in terms of offensive power, Veronica is clearly above the 2. Elise is the weakest among the 3 with her 32-32 offensive spread. Maribel does hit harder than Veronica, but Veronica has more speed, therefore she is able to double more enemies, netting her more damage. More speed also means that she is able to prevent more doubles, thus allowing her to survive against more enemies. Maribel and Elise do have one pro over Veronica, and it's their resistance stat. With enough resources focused into their resistance, Maribel and Elise can become decent ploy users, and I think that's kind of valuable for a class that's meant to be used for their utility. However, when it comes to player face offense, Veronica and Maribel are the obvious top 2 in their class. Don't underestimate the damage just because she's a staff unit. Staff units are able to deal huge amounts of chip damage with a pain staff and double savage blow. One hit from that and your team's going to be in big trouble. She comes with a unique staff. Does anyone actually know the correct pronunciation of it? It's like Leoskolf or Heelskolf. I don't know, dude. I know it's Norse, but it kind of looks like what I would get if I just smashed my forehead on my keyboard. But yeah, foe cannot counterattack, and the rest of the effect is the same as Soul's Peshkots. Target and foes around the target are inflicted with a -4 stat debuff in every single stat. At the same time, Veronica and the units around her are granted with a +4 buff in the same stats. You can think of it like Peshkots with built-in water sweep and wind sweep. Even though her defenses are quite low, I think a close counter with close defense seal build is viable. After she attacks and Heal Sculpt activates, she'll have 40 speed, 31 defense, and 29 resistance on enemy phase. That's including the close defense seal buff. If you take into account the debuff from her weapon, then it's like she has 44 speed, 35 defense, and 34 resistance. It's not that impressive, but she does have enough to at least tank 1 or 2 attacks. That's really all you need her to do if she's part of your defensive arena team. Assist is Recover Plus. She does have the attack stat to use it well. The other option would be Physics Plus. It's really up to personal preference on which one you should use, but I think Recover Plus should be fine though. New special is Wind Fire Bomb Plus. This is a 300 SP costing skill, and it grants attack speed +6 to all allies for 1 turn after healing an ally with a staff. It's a neat special. Since Veronica's weapon prevents enemies from counterattacking, you can easily charge up her special cooldown by attacking a unit. Just attack somebody for free and boom, all charged up. Then on the following turn, you can heal an ally to apply the buff. It works really well with allies that inflict recoil damage like Elm, Celica, and any units that are running Fury. B skill is Wrathful Staff. Pretty much a staple skill for her since she has a glass cannon stat line. There's really no reason to swap this skill out. If you have a red Tana laying around, this would be a pretty sick player phase build on her. Attack speed push grants 5 attack and 5 speed, but inflicts 1 recoil damage after combat. Healing an ally with Lifted Serve Seal will get her back to 100%. New C skill is Close Guard 3. It's the counterpart to Lucina's Distant Guard 3. It's close defense 2, but in a form of a drive buff. This is way better than Distant Guard just because all you see in Arena nowadays are melee armor units and Dragonstone units. The problem with Distant Guard was that you rarely see multiple ranged units on a single team in Arena. At most, you'll see like 1 or 2 unless you're in the lower tiers of Arena, then it's possible to come across a team filled with ranged units. Anyways, Close Guard grants 1 more defense and res than Drive Defense and Drive Res combined. The downside is that it only works versus melee foes, but if that's all you see in Arena, then it's not really a problem, right? It's a very good skill. This is the skill you should use Veronica as skill fodder for if you choose to do so. Obviously, Veronica is very good. She's also apparently the most common pick among the 4. I think there's 2 reasons for that. 1, good healers are hard to get, and 2, the other heroes on the banner are alternates. This is the first time that players can actually get a hold of Veronica. She is an incredible player face threat and will be fairly difficult to deal with in Arena, especially if she's plus 10 merged. Amazing default kit, absolutely nothing needs to be changed. All she needs is an A skill and she's good to go. She is underwhelming on the defensive side, but most staff units are, and if you use her correctly, then she'll never get touched, so her low defenses are kind of irrelevant. Best boon for her is plus speed, then plus attack. Plus HP is a super boon that bump her BST to 145, but you shouldn't use her in Arena anyways since she scores so low. Best Bane is defense or res, either one is fine. Alright, so now I'm going to tell you guys my opinion on who to use your free summon on. Then after that, I'll tell you guys who I picked with my free summon. So considering Arena and every other piece of content in the game, my top 2 choices are Hector or Ephraim. You can't go wrong with either one since they are both armored and score very high. I think Hector is the better choice because he's blue and not green. There's just so many more great green armor units available compared to blue. That's the only reason why I have Hector over Ephraim. If you're new to the game, and I mean like you literally just started a few weeks ago, I think Veronica or Hector are the best 2 options. Armor Emblem teams are extremely expensive to build, and I would not recommend new players to build Armor Emblem teams right away, but if you want to, then picking up Hector or Ephraim is a good start. If not, then Veronica should be your pick. She's the best staff unit in the game and will help you easily clear PB content like story mode, Grand Hero battles, and especially Tempest Trials and rival domains. Celica is the worst out of the 4. I'm not saying that she's bad, but there's just less reason to pick her unless you like her as a character, of course. There's tons of sword units available in the game. Celica does perform better on player phase than like 90% of them, but that's not really a good reason to pick her over any of the other 3. I think the only reason why you would pick her is if you really needed an anti-armor unit. With Armor Smasher, she's an armor slaying machine. Fire Sweep sword builds are pretty fun too. The other reason why you might pick her is if you just want to use her as death blow for fodder. So yeah, Hector or Ephraim if you want to play Arena and want to climb the ladder. If not, then Veronica. If you don't like staff units or armored units, then I guess you gotta go with Celica. At the end of the day, they're all great. Pick whoever you like. That's actually what I did because on my main account, I picked Ephraim for 2 reasons. 1, because Sacred Stones is my favorite Fire Emblem game and he's one of my favorite characters. And 2, I'm trying to obtain more points in Arena and I already have a 5-star plus 9 FE, so it wouldn't make sense for me to pick Hector, so I went with Ephraim. Now for my free to play account, I was split between Hector and Ephraim. Hector has an insane kit for a free to play unit. He has distant counter, quick riposte weapon, and bold fighter. This guy would blow up dudes left and right in Grand Hero battles. That sounded kind of weird, but you guys know what I meant. Then I realized, hey, maybe I should pick Ephraim because there aren't that many free to play armor units, especially green ones. There's actually 0 free to play green armor units right now. Ephraim will be the first, plus he has armor march and that skill will be extremely helpful for free to play guides. So the question is, who did I choose? Well, I chose neither of them because I created 2 polls, one on my Twitter and another on YouTube. Veronica blew the other 3 away. She's clearly the most common pick among my fan base, and just for that reason, I picked her on my free to play account. So if you're one of those guys that followed my free to play guide videos, then I guess you gotta go with Veronica. And that's pretty much it. I was going to ask you guys which unit you use your free summon on, but I had already asked that when I created the polls. So instead, I want to know what's your opinion on these 4 brave heroes. Were you disappointed or were you satisfied? Let me know your opinion in the comments below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and if you did, please give this video a like. I would highly appreciate it. Thanks for watching, take it easy, and I'll see you guys in the next video.